My name is Jerome Washington. I'm 69 years old, and my own flesh and blood threw me out of my house during a thunderstorm, treating me like some helpless old fool with nowhere to turn. What they didn't realize was that the next morning, they'd be standing in front of a judge, crying and begging, discovering their poor old daddy had been playing chess while they were playing checkers. Let me paint you a picture, Dot. It was a Wednesday evening in Philadelphia. Rain coming down like God was washing the streets clean. And I was sitting at my kitchen table, eating my usual dinner, when my 3 children walked through that door, looking like they were attending a funeral. There was Darius, my oldest at 45, Kaisha at 42, and Marcus, my baby boy, 38 years old. "Pop," Darius started, using that voice he'd had since he was a kid breaking my tools in the garage. "We need to have a serious conversation with you." That's when they dropped the bomb that was about to blow their whole world apart. "We've decided it's time for you to move into a senior facility," Darius announced. "We already found you a spot at Golden Years Assisted Living. They got round-the-clock nurses, home-cooked meals, and activities for folks your age." "Assisted living?" I asked. "Why would I need that?" "Because you can't keep living alone, Pop," Kaisha said with that pitying look she'd been giving me lately, like I was some charity case. "You're 70 years old." They'd added a year to make their point sound stronger. "This house is way too big for one person, and we're worried about your safety. Plus," Marcus chimed in, "this property is worth serious money. If we sell it, we can cover your facility costs for years, and there'll be plenty left over for the 3 of us to split." Split between them. There it was. The real reason. This wasn't about my safety or my well-being. This was about cold, hard cash and my property. And what if I don't want to go to any assisted living facility? I asked. "Pop, this isn't a discussion," Darius informed me. "This is a decision we've already made. You're moving out on Monday." "Monday?" "That's 4 days from now." "Yes, sir. Everything's already arranged. But here's what my children didn't know, what none of them had any clue about. While they were treating me like some senile old man who couldn't make his own decisions, I had a few secrets tucked away. Secrets that were about to explode in the most spectacular way you could imagine. That night, when they put me out in that thunderstorm like a stray dog, I made moves that would change their lives forever. Moves I'd been planning for years, waiting for exactly this kind of betrayal to stay with me until the end of this story, because what happened in that courtroom left them absolutely devastated. But to fully understand what went down, I need to take you back to where it all began. I wasn't always the old man my children wanted to dump in some facility so they could snatch his property. 50 years ago, when I married my wife Lorraine, may she rest in peace, I bought this house with my very first real paycheck from working at the post office. It was a modest brick row house in West Philadelphia, in a neighborhood that was just starting to come up. But to us, it was everything. It was ours. I worked for the United States Postal Service for 43 years. Started as a mail sorter and worked my way up to a distribution supervisor. Every dollar I made had a purpose. First, my family. Second, saving for the future. Always thinking ahead. Always planning. Lorraine and I raised our 3 children in that house. We watched them take their first steps on these hardwood floors, do their homework at this very kitchen table, and grow into adults under this roof. Every corner holds memories of when we were a real family. When we loved each other without conditions. When Lorraine passed 8 years ago, I found myself alone, but I wasn't lonely. I had my children, my grandchildren, and a quiet, organized life. At first, Darius, Kaisha, and Marcus visited regularly. We'd have Sunday dinners after church, celebrate birthdays, spend holidays together. We were solid, but gradually the visits started spreading out. Sundays became every other week, then once a month, then only on major holidays. "Pop, I'm swamped with work. Darius would say when I asked why he hadn't been by. Pop, the kids have so many activities. Kaisha would explain when I wanted to see my grandchildren. Pop, we've got social commitments. Marcus would tell me when I invited them for dinner. Slowly, I started realizing that for my children, I had become an obligation, not a blessing. Not someone they wanted to spend time with, but someone they had to deal with. But what really opened my eyes happened last year. Kaisha came by one afternoon with a very specific proposal. Pop, I've been thinking. This house is just too big for you by yourself. Kaisha, we've talked about this. I'm perfectly comfortable here. I know, but think about the expenses. The property taxes, the utilities, the repairs. It's a lot. I manage just fine. But wouldn't you rather have something smaller? Something modern with less maintenance? They're building these nice condos downtown with a doorman. No yard work, no worries. Are you suggesting I move? I'm suggesting you think about it. There are beautiful condos available. You could buy one and have a lot of money left over to live comfortably. And what happens to this house? Well, it would be sold. And with that money, you could get the condo and still have plenty to enjoy your retirement. And the rest of the money? The rest could be divided among the three of us. After all, it'll be our inheritance eventually. Inheritance in advance. They wanted me to advance their inheritance by selling my home and moving into a condo. Kaisha, this house is my home. I know, Pop, but it's also our future financial security. Our financial security. Like my home existed just to solve their money problems. Just think about it, Pop. No pressure. Just consider it. 2 months later, Darius showed up with the exact same pitch. Pop, Kaisha mentioned the condo idea to me. She did. What did you think? I thought I don't want to move. But why? A modern condo would be so much more convenient. No stairs to worry about. Everything on one floor, secure building. Darius, I built my life in this house. All my memories with your mother are here. I understand that, Pop, but Mom is gone now. You need to think about your future. My future is staying right here until the Lord calls me home. Pop, that's not realistic. What if you get sick? What if something happens and you can't manage? When that day comes, we'll deal with it. Wouldn't it be better to plan ahead? To prevent problems before they start? Prevent what? Prevent you from struggling. Look, if we sell this house, you'd have financial security. We'd have financial security. Everybody wins. Darius, the only problem I have is you three pressuring me about my house. He looked offended. Pop, we're just concerned about you. You're concerned about the money this house is worth. It's not about the money. Then why do you keep talking about splitting the inheritance? Because it makes sense. Eventually, you're going to pass on, and we're going to inherit. Why not make it easier for everyone? Easier how? By me giving up my home? By you making a smart financial decision. The smart decision is staying in my own house. Pop, you're being stubborn. I'm not being stubborn. I'm being the owner of my property. 3 months later, Marcus, my youngest, came by. He was always the most blunt. Pop, my brother and sister told me you're not interested in selling the house. That's right. Can you explain why? Because it's my house, Marcus. Yeah, but try to see it from our perspective. We all have expenses. We all have debt. We all need money. And this house is sitting here worth serious cash that could help everybody. Marcus, are you telling me I should sell my house to fix your financial problems? It's not fixing our problems. It's helping the family. Helping the family by kicking me out of my home? Nobody's kicking you out. We're proposing a solution that works for everyone. It works for me to move to a condo so I can give you money. It works for you to live comfortably without worries. Marcus, I don't have worries. You have worries because you want my money. Pop, You don't understand the situation we're in. I understand perfectly. You want me to sell my house so the money can be split 4 ways. I get enough to buy a condo and live. You 3 get the rest. Exactly. It's perfect for everyone. It's perfect for you. For me, it's robbery. It's not robbery. What do you call pressuring an old man to sell his house? I call it looking out for my father. Looking out for me would be respecting my decision to stay in my own home. That was the last peaceful conversation we had about it. In the months that followed, my children launched a campaign of psychological pressure that completely wore down my nerves. Darius would stop by and criticize everything. Pop, look at this yard. It's completely overgrown. The yard is fine. No, sir, it's not. There are weeds everywhere. In a condo, you wouldn't have to deal with yard maintenance. I like taking care of my yard, but you can't take care of it like you used to. Isn't it too much work at your age? Kaisha would visit and point out every flaw. Pop, this house is getting dirty. It's clean. No, Pop, look at the dust on these shelves. In a smaller place, it would be easier to keep everything spotless. I clean when I feel like cleaning. Don't you get tired of all this cleaning? I don't get tired. Wouldn't you rather have something smaller and more manageable? Marcus would show up and identify every repair needed. Pop, the kitchen sink is leaking. I know. I'll fix it. Do you even know how to fix plumbing? I've been fixing things in this house for 50 years. Plumbers cost money. In a new condo, maintenance handles all that. I have a small leak. It's not a crisis, but it's all these little things adding up. The leak, the yard, the cleaning, the maintenance. Isn't it overwhelming at your age? My age? They always came back to my age. Like being 69 disqualified me from living in my own home. 3 months ago, the pressure intensified. They started showing up together, all 3 of them. Like some kind of intervention committee. Pop, Darius said, acting as spokesman. We've talked it over, and we truly believe it's time for you to make a decision about this house. What kind of decision? The decision to sell it and move somewhere more appropriate for your stage of life. And if my decision is to stay here? That's not a realistic option, Kaisha interrupted. Why not? Because this house is too big, too expensive to maintain, and you're too old to handle it alone. And who decided that? We did, Marcus said. As a family? As a family? What am I? You're part of the family, but we're the ones who need to look out for you. Looking out for me is kicking me out of my house. Looking out for you is helping you make smart decisions. And the smart decision is giving you my property? The smart decision is living appropriately for your age. Living appropriately for my age means living where you tell me to live. It means living safely and practically. I'm safe and practical right here in my own home. Pop, stop being difficult. I'm not being difficult. I'm being the owner of my property, but we're your children. And what does that have to do with anything? It means we care about you. If you cared about me, you'd let me live where I want. We are letting you live where you want. But you want to live somewhere that's not appropriate. Who decided it's not appropriate? Anyone with common sense. Anyone with common sense would throw their father out of his house. Anyone with common sense would help their father move to a better situation. That argument went on for 3 hours. I held my ground. They held theirs. When they finally left, they were furious. Pop, Darius said before walking out, you're going to have to accept that this is happening whether you agree or not. What does that mean? It means we found other ways to help you make the right choice. What other ways? You'll see. And that's when the real war started. A week later, I got a letter from A. Lawyer stating that my children had started a legal process to have me declared mentally incompetent to manage my assets. Incompetent. My own children wanted me declared incompetent so they could take my house. I called them furious. What is this letter I received? It's for your own good, Pop, Darius said. My own good is having me declared crazy? We're not declaring you crazy. We're declaring you incapable of managing your affairs properly. And what's the difference? The difference is we're going to help you make the right decisions. The decisions that benefit you. The decisions that benefit you. Pop, selling this house benefits you. And you three getting the money doesn't benefit you? We benefit from knowing you're being properly cared for in a facility appropriate for your age. And who decides what's appropriate? We will, as your legal guardians. Legal guardians. They wanted to turn me into a child under their supervision. And if I don't accept this, Pop, it would be better if you accepted voluntarily. And if I don't accept voluntarily, then the judge will decide for you. You're threatening me. We're informing you of reality. The reality is you're trying to steal my house. The reality is we're trying to help you. Help me lose everything I own. Help you live better. I hung up the phone, shaking with rage. Over the following weeks, the harassment got worse. They came to my house every single day with different excuses. Pop, we came to help you with groceries. I don't need help with groceries. Yes, you do. Look what you bought. Expired milk. The milk wasn't expired. They'd secretly replaced my milk with an expired carton to prove their point. Pop, we came to check on your medications. I don't take medications. You should. At your age, most people take blood pressure medication, heart medication. My blood pressure is fine. My heart is fine. When was your last doctor's appointment? 3 months ago. And what did the doctor say? That I'm healthy. But did you mention all your symptoms? The forgetfulness? The confusion? I don't have forgetfulness or confusion. Pop, yesterday I called you and you didn't know what day it was. I knew exactly what day it was. You told me it was Thursday when it was Tuesday. I said it felt like Thursday. That's different. But they documented everything. Every conversation, every word I said, every gesture I made, they twisted it into evidence of senility. Pop, we came to check your important papers. What papers? Bank statements, tax documents, insurance policies. My papers are in order. We want to make sure everything's properly organized. Everything is organized. Do you know where all the documents are? Of course I know. Can you show us? Why? To help you organize them. They're already organized. Pop, please let us help you. I don't need help. Yes, you do. Keeping track of everything is complicated. It's not complicated. Did you pay the property taxes this month? I pay them when they're due. When are they due? The 15th. Today is the 17th. Then I'll pay them tomorrow. See? You forgot. I didn't forget. I pay them when I can. And what if you do forget? I won't forget, but you could. A lot of things could happen. Exactly. That's why you need help. It was constant, relentless, looking for anything they could twist into proof that I couldn't manage my own life. 3 months ago, things reached a breaking point. All 3 of them showed up with a final ultimatum. Pop, the judge set a hearing date. What hearing? The hearing to evaluate your competency. And what happens at this hearing? They'll determine whether you can continue living independently or whether you need a guardian. What kind of guardian? A conservator. Someone to help you make important decisions. And who would that someone be? Us. The 3 of us. And what decisions would you make for me? Decisions about your finances, your property, your health care, everything. And if I don't agree? Pop, the judge has already reviewed all the documentation we submitted. What documentation? Medical reports, Evidence that you can't manage the house. Statements from neighbors concerned about you. What neighbors? Neighbors who told us they see you talking to yourself in the yard. Talking to myself? Yes, and that sometimes you go outside in your pajamas. In my pajamas? Yes. When did I go outside in pajamas? Last month, when you went to get the newspaper. I had my robe on over my pajamas. But you think it's normal to go outside dressed like that? I think it's normal to get my newspaper however I want. It doesn't matter, Pop. What matters is what the judge thinks. The judge is going to judge me based on my bathrobe? The judge is going to judge your ability to care for yourself properly. And wearing a robe means I can't care for myself. It's a sign of decline. Decline? Mental decline. Wearing a robe is mental decline? Going outside in sleepwear is. According to who? According to any reasonable person. Any reasonable person would declare me incompetent for wearing a bathrobe? Any reasonable person would be concerned about an elderly man going outside inappropriately dressed. Elderly man. I wasn't their father anymore. I was just some elderly man. Pop, Kaisha said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. What does that mean? You can cooperate with us and make this smooth. Or you can fight it and make it traumatic for everyone. Cooperating means letting you steal my house. Cooperating means accepting that you need help. And if I don't cooperate, the judge will decide anyway, but it'll be more difficult. Difficult how? They'll have to admit you to a psychiatric evaluation facility to assess you. A mental health facility? To determine your mental state. My own children were threatening to have me committed to a psychiatric facility. And if I refuse? You can't refuse. It'll be a court order. You're really going to do this to me? We're doing this for you, Pop. To protect you. Protect me from what? From yourself. From myself. My children wanted to protect me from myself by having me locked up in a psychiatric facility, Dot. And that brings us to the night I told you about at the beginning. Last Wednesday, thunderstorm raging outside, when all three of them showed up with their final announcement. Pop, the hearing is tomorrow. What hearing? The competency hearing, where the judge decides on your guardianship. And if I don't go, you have to go. It's mandatory. And if I refuse, they'll send police to bring you. Police will force me to go to court? If necessary, yes. Why would that be necessary? Because you're a danger to yourself. A danger to myself? Living alone at your age in a house this size, without medical supervision, is dangerous. Dangerous for who? For you. And who decided that? The doctor who prepared the report about you. A doctor I never met made a report about me? Based on the information we provided. What information? Everything we've observed over these months. And what did you observe? Cognitive decline, memory problems, difficulty making decisions. Inappropriate behavior, like wearing bathrobes outside, forgetting to pay bills, buying expired products. And all that makes me incompetent? All that proves you need help. And the help is taking my house? The help is moving you to a safe environment. And what happens to my house? It gets sold to pay for your care. And the extra money gets managed for your benefit. Who manages it? We do, as your conservators. And if I don't agree? Pop, it's no longer your decision. Why isn't it my decision? Because tomorrow the judge is going to declare you incompetent. You're certain of that? Absolutely certain. And then what? Then you move into golden years on Monday, 4 days from now. And if I refuse? You can't refuse. It'll be a court order. And if I run? Where would you run, Pop? You don't have money. You don't have anywhere to go. You don't have anyone who can help you. And that's when they made the biggest mistake of their lives. Besides, Darius continued with a smile I'll never forget, you're leaving this house tonight. We don't want you doing anything crazy before the hearing. I'm leaving tonight? Where am I going? To a hotel. We already booked a room. And if I don't want to go to any hotel? It's not optional, Kaisha said. We already cleared it with the judge. He authorized us to remove you from the house to protect you. Protect me from what? From doing something desperate. Like what? Like hurting yourself to avoid the hearing. You think I would hurt myself? We don't know what you might do in your condition. In my condition? Like I was some dangerous lunatic. And if I refuse to leave? We call the police, Marcus said. They'll remove you. You're going to call the police to throw your father out of his house? We're going to call the police to protect our father from himself. Go pack a bag, Darius ordered. Just essentials. Everything else will be packed later for the facility. My things are already packed for Monday's move. Everything's ready. And if the judge doesn't declare me incompetent, the judge will declare you incompetent, Kaisha assured me. How are you so sure? Because we presented evidence that can't be disputed. And that's when I realized my children had been planning this for months. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. This was a calculated conspiracy to steal my house and my freedom. Pop, let's go. Marcus rushed me. It's storming, and we need to get to the hotel. I went to my bedroom and packed a small bag. Clothes, documents, a few personal items. But I also packed something they didn't see. Something I'd been keeping for years for exactly this situation. When I came back to the kitchen, my 3 children were waiting with the car keys. Ready? Darius asked. As ready as I'll ever be. Pop, Kaisha said as we reached the front door. I know this is hard, but it's for the best. The best for who? For everyone? Putting me out in a thunderstorm is for my best? Taking you to a safe place is for your best. We walked out into the storm. My children ran to the car to avoid getting soaked. I walked slowly, letting the rain hit my face, feeling every drop like tears, knowing this was the last time I'd leave my house as its owner. Pop, hurry up, Marcus yelled from the car, but I kept walking slowly, letting that rain wash over me, feeling every moment dot in the car. During the drive to the hotel, my children talked among themselves like I wasn't even there. We need to be at the courthouse at 9 tomorrow morning, Darius said. Did you talk to the lawyer? Kaisha asked. Yeah, he says everything's solid. The evidence we presented makes it impossible for the judge not to declare him incompetent. And Golden Years is all set? They're picking him up first thing Monday morning. What about the house? Real estate agent already has interested buyers. We can close the sale within 2 weeks. How much will we clear? After paying for 10 years at the facility, we'll have about $300,000 left to split, $100,000 each. That was the price of betraying their father. $100,000 each. We arrived at the hotel. It was a cheap place, the kind that rents rooms to truck drivers passing through. Reservation for Jerome Washington? The clerk asked. Yes, sir. Room 205, second floor. I took the stairs because the elevator was out of service. The room was tiny. A single bed, old TV, window looking out at a concrete courtyard. I sat on that bed, and for the first time in months, I let myself feel all the anger and pain I'd been holding back. My own children had thrown me out of my house in a thunderstorm to steal everything I owned. But that night, in that miserable hotel room, I pulled out the envelope I'd been keeping for years. An envelope containing documents my children had never seen. Documents that were going to change everything the next day. At 6 a.m, I got up, showered, put on my best suit, and called the number I'd written on one of those papers. Attorney Harrison, this is Jerome Washington. Today's the day. Is everything ready? Everything's ready, Mr. Washington. I'll see you at the courthouse at 9. At 8:30, my children showed up to take me. "Good morning, Pop," Darius said. "Did you sleep okay?" "Slept like a baby," I told him. "Better than I have in months. You ready for the hearing?" "More than ready." In the car, they talked again like I wasn't there. "Did you bring all the paperwork?" Kaisha asked Darius. "Everything. Medical reports, neighbor statements, photos of the neglected house, everything." "And the power of attorney is ready?" "Ready. Soon as the judge signs the incompetency declaration, we can start managing all his assets." "Including the bank accounts?" "Everything." They were laughing. Actually laughing about how they were going to control my money. We arrived at the courthouse. An old building with long hallways and high ceilings that echoed with every footstep. "Pop," Marcus said as we waited outside the courtroom, "I want you to know we're doing this because we love you." "I know," I told him. "And I love you too. You're not angry?" "Not at all. Actually, I'm grateful." "Grateful?" "Yes, you taught me something very important." "What's that?" "You'll see." At exactly 9 o'clock, we were called into the courtroom. We entered a large room with massive wooden benches and a high desk where the judge sat. He was a serious-looking black man in his 50s, wearing his robes with authority. "Good morning," the judge said. "We're here to evaluate the situation of Mr. Jerome Washington. The petitioners are represented by counsel?" "Yes, Your Honor," said a thin white man who introduced himself as Attorney Robert Pierce. "And Mr. Washington?" "Mr. Washington doesn't have legal representation," Darius quickly said. "That's part of the problem. He can't make important decisions like hiring an attorney." "Is that true, Mr. Washington?" The judge asked me. "No, Your Honor. I do have an attorney." My children's faces went pale. "Who is your attorney?" At that moment, the courtroom doors opened, and an impeccably dressed black man in his 60s walked in with confidence. "Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Attorney Charles Harrison, counsel for Mr. Jerome Washington." Darius, Kaisha, and Marcus looked like they'd seen a ghost. "Attorney Harrison," the judge said. "I wasn't informed Mr. Washington had representation." "Your Honor, my client retained me 3 years ago, anticipating exactly this situation." "What situation?" "The situation where his children would attempt to have him declared incompetent to seize his assets." "That's a lie!" Marcus shouted. "Order!" The judge commanded. "Attorney Harrison, do you have documentation supporting this claim?" "I have extensive documentation, Your Honor." Attorney Harrison opened his briefcase and started pulling out thick folders filled with papers. "What is all that?" Kaisha asked, her voice shaking. "This," my attorney said, "is proof that your father is not the helpless old man you think he is. And that's where everything my children never expected began to unfold." "Your Honor," Attorney Harrison continued, "my client, Mr. Jerome Washington, is not merely the owner of the house where he resides. He is the proprietor of a commercial real estate portfolio, a private investment company, and property holdings valued at approximately $18 million. My children froze solid. $18 million? The judge asked. "Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Washington worked for the Postal Service for 43 years, but simultaneously built a business empire his children know nothing about." "That's impossible," Darius shouted. "Is it impossible?" my attorney asked. "Or is it impossible that your father was smarter than you gave him credit for?" I took the papers I'd been keeping for years from my jacket pocket and handed them to the judge. "Your Honor, these are the property deeds to my 14 commercial buildings in downtown Philadelphia." The judge reviewed the documents in silence. His eyebrows raised as he read. "These documents show that Mr. Washington owns considerable commercial real estate," the judge confirmed. "Pop," Kaisha exclaimed, "why didn't you ever tell us?" "Why would I tell you?" "So you could start pressuring me years ago to give you everything?" But we're your family. Yes, you're my family. And my family tried to have me declared incompetent to steal my assets. Attorney Harrison continued, Your Honor, I also have Mr. Washington's bank statements from the past 5 years. He handed the folders to the judge. When the judge saw the numbers, he actually whistled softly. Mr. Washington, these statements show substantial monthly income. Yes, Your Honor, the leases from my properties generate approximately $90,000 per month. $90,000 a month? Marcus yelled. And you live like you're broke? I live how I want to live, not how you want me to live. But you could have helped us. We all have financial problems. Help you? I helped you for 30 years. Paid for your education, your college, your first cars, down payments on your houses. That was years ago. And that obligates me to keep supporting you until I die? Attorney Harrison interrupted. Your Honor, there's something else you need to know. What is it? Mr. Washington's children presented medical reports to justify the incompetency declaration? That's correct. But those reports are based on false information. I have here the report from Mr. Washington's personal physician, Dr. Marcus Thompson, who has treated him for 15 years. He handed another document to the judge. According to this report, Mr. Washington has excellent mental and physical health. No cognitive issues, no memory problems, no difficulty making decisions. That's a lie. Kaisha cried. He forgets to pay his property taxes. Your Honor, my attorney said, I have receipts for every property tax payment Mr. Washington has made for the last 5 years. Never late, never missed. But he buys expired groceries. Your Honor, I have receipts from the supermarket where Mr. Washington shops. No expired products purchased. But he goes outside in his pajamas. Your Honor, I have sworn statements from 5 neighbors who confirm they've never seen Mr. Washington improperly dressed. My children were running out of lies. Attorney Harrison, the judge asked, what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that Mr. Washington's children fabricated false evidence to justify an incompetency declaration that would allow them to steal their father's assets. That's a serious accusation. As serious as trying to steal $18 million from an elderly man. We didn't know he had that much money. Darius defended himself. And does that justify what you did? The judge asked. We thought we were helping him. Helping him by throwing him out in a thunderstorm? We didn't throw him out. You removed him from his house against his will, under threat of police involvement. The judge paused, thinking deeply. Mr. Washington, he finally said to me, is it true your children removed you from your house last night against your will? It's true, Your Honor. And they threatened to call police if you refused? Yes, Your Honor. And this was all to take your house? To take my house and have me declared incompetent so they could control my assets. And do you feel capable of managing your assets? Your Honor, I worked 43 years managing postal operations. I built a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio over 30 years. I anticipated this exact situation 3 years ago and prepared legally for it. Does it seem like I'm incapable? The judge smiled for the first time. Not only do you seem capable, Mr. Washington, you seem more capable than most people I encounter. Attorney Pierce, my children's lawyer, tried to intervene. Your Honor, we presented medical documentation that proves. Attorney Pierce, the judge interrupted. The documentation you presented directly contradicts the documentation presented by the defense. Either Mr. Washington is incompetent, or he's perfectly competent. After this hearing, I lean strongly toward the second option. But, Your Honor, no buts, counsel. Your clients attempted judicial fraud by presenting false evidence to appropriate their father's assets. It wasn't false evidence. Then did Mr. Washington buy expired groceries or not? Well, maybe we were mistaken. Were you mistaken, or did you lie? We didn't lie. Attorney Pierce, I have 5 witness statements contradicting every accusation your clients made. Either all these witnesses are lying, or your clients are lying. My children's lawyer went silent. Your Honor, Attorney Harrison intervened. My client wishes to file suit against his children. What kind of suit? Attempted fraud, presenting false evidence, and elder abuse. Elder abuse? Kaisha cried. We never hit him. Elder abuse includes psychological abuse, coercion, and financial exploitation, my attorney explained. Financial exploitation? Pressuring an elderly person to sell his home and surrender the proceeds constitutes financial abuse. But we're his children. Being his children doesn't give you the right to steal from your father. The judge banged his gavel. This hearing has taken a very serious turn. Mr. Washington, do you really want to sue your children? Your Honor, my children threw me out of my house in a thunderstorm to steal my property. They threatened to commit me to a psychiatric facility if I didn't cooperate. They presented false evidence to have me declared incompetent. What would you do? Probably exactly what you're doing. Pop, please, Darius begged. We're your family. You stopped being my family last night when you threw me out in that storm. We can fix this. How? By giving everything back? By respecting me again? Yes. We learned our lesson. What lesson? That we didn't know who you really were. Exactly. You didn't treat me badly because I was poor. You treated me badly because you thought I was poor. That's not true. It's exactly true, Darius. If I were the broke old man you thought I was, I'd be locked up in golden years today, and you'd be selling my house. They couldn't respond because they knew it was the truth. Attorney Harrison, the judge said, what is your client's position regarding the competency petition? My position is that Mr. Jerome Washington possesses full mental and legal capacity to manage his assets. The petition for incompetency is denied. My children turned white as sheets. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm ordering an investigation into the evidence presented by the petitioners to determine if it constitutes document falsification. Your Honor, Kaisha cried, and I'm ordering an evaluation for potential elder abuse charges. We're not abusers, Your Honor. Ma'am, you removed your father from his home in a storm against his will. If that's not abuse, I don't know what is. Kaisha burst into tears. Pop, forgive us, she sobbed. We didn't know. You didn't know what, Kaisha? We didn't know you had money. And if I didn't have money, it would be okay to steal my house? We weren't stealing. We were trying to care for you. Care for me by locking me in a facility? We thought it was best. Best for who? She went silent. Mr. Washington, the judge said to me, what do you want to do now? I want to return to my home, Your Honor. Of course. It's your home. And I want my children to know they're disinherited. Pop, no. Marcus shouted, you'll inherit nothing from me. But we're your children. You're my children who tried to rob me and lock me away. We can change. It's too late for that. Please give us a chance. I gave you chances for 30 years. You used them up last night. Attorney Harrison pulled out another document. Your Honor, my client has already prepared a new will. In favor of whom? In favor of charitable organizations dedicated to helping abandoned elderly persons. My children became hysterical. You can't do that. Kaisha screamed, I can do whatever I want with my money. But we're your family. My family's people who respect and care for me. You stopped being my family last night. The judge banged his gavel again. Anything else, Attorney Harrison? Yes, Your Honor. My client requests a restraining order against his children. A restraining order? They're prohibited from approaching his residence or contacting him in any way. We're not harassing him. Darius shouted. You pressured him for 3 years to sell his house. You psychologically tormented him for 3 months. Last night you threw him out in a storm. What do you call that? Family concern. I call it systematic harassment. The restraining order is granted, the judge said. Mr. Darius, Miss Kaisha, and Mr. Marcus Washington are prohibited from approaching their father's home or contacting him for 2 years. 2 years? Kaisha wept. And if you violate the order, you'll face arrest. Your Honor, that's extreme. Extreme was throwing an elderly man out in a thunderstorm to steal his house. My children were devastated. Pop, Darius said through tears, is there anything we can do for you to forgive us? What do you want to do? Anything, everything. All right. There's something you can do. What? You can spend 2 years without bothering me, without asking me for anything, without pressuring me. You can learn to respect your father. And after 2 years? After 2 years, we'll see if you've really changed or if you just want my money. But 2 years is so long. 2 years is how long it took me to realize what kind of children I raised. Seems fair. It should take the same time for you to prove you've changed. The judge stood. This hearing is concluded. Mr. Washington, you may return home whenever you wish. Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney Harrison, send me copies of all documentation for the investigation file. Of course, Your Honor. We left the courtroom. My children followed me to the sidewalk outside. Pop, Darius said, what are we supposed to do now? What you were doing before you planned to rob me. But we were counting on your inheritance. You were counting on my inheritance while I was still alive? We thought you were poor, and that justified stealing the little I had? He couldn't answer. I left them standing there on that courthouse sidewalk and walked away. For the first time in months, I felt completely free. That afternoon, I returned to my house. Walking through that front door felt different. It was the first time in months I walked in, knowing it was completely mine, without my children's pressure, without the threat of being thrown out, without anyone telling me how to live my life. I sat in my favorite armchair, the one Lorraine used to say was too worn out to keep, turned on the television, and poured myself a glass of whiskey, the kind of whiskey I used to save for special occasions. This felt like one. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Darius. Pop, can we talk? Darius, there's a restraining order. You can't call me, but we're family. The restraining order says you cannot contact me in any way. That includes phone calls, but we need to talk about this. We'll talk in 2 years. 2 years is forever. For me, the 3 years it took to realize what kind of children I raised felt like forever too. I hung up Dot over the next few weeks. My children tried every method possible to reach me. They sent letters through my mailbox. They left messages with neighbors. They showed up at my door, ringing the bell repeatedly. Each time, I called Attorney Harrison, and he reminded them about the restraining order. If you continue harassing my client, he'd tell them, you'll be arrested. After a month, they finally stopped trying Dot. It's been 6 months since all this happened. 6 months of living in complete peace. No pressure. No threats. No one telling me I'm too old to manage my own life. No one scheming to take what I built over 50 years of hard work. Do I miss them? Sometimes. I miss the children I thought I had. The ones who used to run through this house laughing, who used to sit at this kitchen table doing homework while Lorraine cooked Sunday dinner. I miss the family we used to be before money became more important than love. But I don't miss the people they became. I don't miss being treated like a burden. I don't miss being called incompetent. I don't miss being thrown out in a thunderstorm like trash. People ask me if I regret disinheriting them. They say, Jerome, they're still your children. Blood is blood. And I tell them this. Blood means nothing when that blood is willing to steal from you, lie about you, and have you locked away to get your money. The $18 million I built over 30 years, it's going to organizations that actually help people. The Philadelphia Elder Care Foundation, the Homeless Veterans Support Network, the Youth Education Fund, people who genuinely need assistance, not people who want a shortcut to wealth while their father is still alive. That do I think my children will change? Honestly, I don't know. Time will tell. Maybe in 2 years, they'll come back different people. Maybe they'll have learned that respect isn't something you give only to people with money. Maybe they'll understand that family means supporting each other, not exploiting each other. Or maybe they'll show up still thinking about that inheritance, still calculating how much they'll get when I die, still seeing their father as a bank account instead of a human being. Would I do everything the same way again? Without a single doubt. Some people might think I was harsh. They might say, Jerome, you should forgive them. They made a mistake. But throwing your father out in a thunderstorm to steal his house isn't a mistake. It's a choice. A calculated, deliberate choice. And choices have consequences. Here's what I learned through all of this. Your value as a person isn't determined by your bank account. My children treated me like garbage when they thought I was poor. The moment they discovered I had money, suddenly they wanted forgiveness. That tells me everything I need to know about their character. Real love, real family, doesn't change based on someone's financial situation. Real love means respecting your parents, whether they're rich or poor. Real family means caring for your father because he's your father, not because of what you might inherit someday. I also learned that you can't buy respect. You can't buy genuine love. You can't buy family loyalty. Those things either exist or they don't. And if they don't exist when you appear vulnerable, they won't magically appear when you reveal your strength. My attorney, Charles Harrison, told me something after the hearing that stuck with me. He said, Mr. Washington, the best inheritance you can leave your children isn't money. It's the lesson that integrity matters more than wealth. He was right. If my children learn anything from this experience, I hope they learn that. I hope they learn that scheming, lying, and betraying trust will cost you more than any amount of money could ever be worth. Do I feel guilty? No, not even a little bit. Guilt is what you feel when you've done something wrong. I protected myself from people who wanted to harm me. The fact that those people happen to be my children doesn't change the reality of what they tried to do. Some nights, I sit in this house and think about Lorraine. I wonder what she would say about all this. Part of me thinks she'd be heartbroken that our children turned out this way. But another part of me believes she'd be proud that I stood my ground. She always told me, Jerome, don't let anybody walk over you, not even family. She was a strong woman, my Lorraine. She would have handled this situation the exact same way. I think about the life I built. 50 years of waking up before dawn to sort mail at the post office. 50 years of saving every extra dollar, investing wisely, buying properties when nobody else saw their value. 50 years of sacrifice, so I could build something substantial. My children thought all that work, all that sacrifice, all that careful planning was just sitting there waiting for them to grab. They thought I was too old, too confused, too weak to stop them. They were wrong. And now, every morning when I wake up in my own house, in my own bed, in the home I built with my own hands and my own money, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Freedom. True freedom. The freedom to live exactly how I want without anyone pressuring me, manipulating me, or trying to control me. Is this how I imagined my retirement would be? No. I imagined Sunday dinners with my children and grandchildren. I imagined holidays filled with laughter. I imagined being surrounded by family who loved me, but life doesn't always turn out how we imagine. Sometimes the people we love most are the ones who hurt us deepest. Sometimes the family we built turns against us. Sometimes we have to make hard choices to protect ourselves. And when those moments come, you find out who you really are. I'm Jerome Washington. I'm 69 years old. I built an empire while working a regular job. I raised 3 children who tried to steal everything from me. And I stood up for myself when it mattered most. To anyone listening to my story, especially those of you dealing with family who only see you as a meal ticket, remember this. You don't owe anyone your dignity. You don't owe anyone your self-respect. You don't owe anyone access to what you built through decades of hard work. Family should be a blessing, not a burden. Family should lift you up, not tear you down. And if your family can't do that, sometimes you have to create distance to protect yourself. Now, I want to ask you something. What would you have done in my position? Would you have forgiven your children for throwing you out in a storm? Would you have given them another chance after they tried to have you declared incompetent? Would you have left them your inheritance after they tried to steal it? Tell me what city you're listening from. Because I guarantee that in every community across America, from Atlanta to Philadelphia, from Chicago to Houston, there are parents being taken advantage of by their own children. Parents who worked hard their entire lives, only to have their kids see them as ATMs instead of human beings. I want those parents to know you have rights. You have power. You don't have to accept disrespect just because it comes from family. And to the children out there who might be thinking about pressuring your elderly parents for money or property, let me tell you something. That inheritance you're counting on, your parents don't owe it to you. They don't owe you anything beyond the love and support they gave you growing up. If you want wealth, build it yourself like I did. Work for it. Sacrifice for it. Earn it. Don't try to steal it from the people who gave you life. In the end, what truly matters isn't how much money you leave behind. What matters is how much respect you commanded while you were alive to appreciate it. I'm Jerome Washington, 69 years old, and I learned that lesson the night my children threw me out in a thunderstorm. It was the most painful and most valuable lesson of my life. Did you make it to the end of my story? If you did, drop a number 1 in the comments. If this story touched you, support it with a like and maybe send a small tip. I've got plenty more real-life stories on my channel, so make sure you subscribe and check them out. I've added 2 powerful stories on your screen that everyone's been loving. Thank you for being here with me. See you in the next one. Much love.